I am so glad to be here today. As I'm doing these videos, I wanted to showcase the people, the humans behind the organizations, the businesses that we are so familiar with in Farmington. And I've known this woman long before she ran for city council, and I love her to pieces. And I don't know if you guys know her as well as I do, but this is our chance to get to know Amy Shumway of the Farmington City Council. Amy, I'm so glad that you're here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting, and thank you for celebrating Farmington and doing these interviews.
I love Farmington. I've been here for 6 years. How long have you been in Farmington?
So we moved here in 2002.
From where?
So from Bountiful.
Okay. And tell me about your family, because I don't know if everybody knows as much as I know about your boys and your family and your travels.
Okay. So I grew up in Layton, and I lived in the same house my whole life. I come from a big family of 15.
Oh my God.
I have 9 sisters and 3 brothers. And so there were lots of us around. I met my husband up at Utah State, and we are big Aggies.
Go Aggies.
And yes. And we have 5 boys, and I love to play pickleball. I love to hike. I like to ride my bike, and in downtime, if that ever comes, I like to paint mandalas and sew. So.
Yeah. So I met Amy through a hiking group here in Farmington, and we became fast friends as we chatted about Masterpiece Theater and your rock painting and and all the other fun things you like to do.
Yep, and singing "The Hills Are Alive" when we were hiking.
I think we had a little too much fun on those trails. And so then let's segue that into how you got started into politics a little bit, because trails, it's all connected.
Yes. So when my boys were young, ages 9 to 1, we decided that we wanted to do 100 miles of biking that summer. So
wait, how old were they?
Ages 9 to 1. And so little, so we would try to do 10-mile bike rides. We wanted to do it 10 times. And so we had a hard time. So we live over by Oak Ridge, and we had a hard time getting over to the safe, family friendly trails like Legacy and the rail trail. And so, so through that, I said, you know what, we need pedestrian access over Park Lane. And so I started a Facebook group. I collected signatures, and I took it to the city and to UDOT and to Wasatch Front Regional Council. And so I just kind of started this little campaign for Park Lane.
With no intention of having this get any bigger than just making it easier to bike ride with your boys.
Exactly. No intentions at all. And I just started getting involved, and I just didn't stop. And through the Facebook campaign, we decided, my kids were already doing selling bread on the side of the road, because I'm like, I'm not going to go stand out there with them to sell lemonade for 50 cents. I'm going to go and help them make a little bit of money. So I would bake the bread and they would sell it. So we decided to donate $1 to every loaf of bread that we sold to this campaign. A few years later, we got $1,000. And so we donated it to the city and got businesses to match our funds and started seed money for this pedestrian access. So through all of that, I got to know my legislatures. I got to know the process, really, of how things run. And who funds projects like that. It's the legislature. Like, I didn't know that. And so we got it. It is funded 8 years later. It is funded, and I have not stopped. And so that's pretty much how I got involved. Then through that process, the Trails Committee leader, he asked me to serve on the Trails Committee for Farmington. And so which is a completely volunteer position. Yep. Right. Completely volunteer. So I served on there for 3.5 years. And then I did planning commission for a year and a half.
Right,
And
which
then-
is also time intensive.
Yes, very time intensive. They meet twice a month, and you get big packets. And
So is that how you got started into politics then, was through the planning commission?
yeah, I would say that was my first, the first one where I'm sitting up on a dais. We'll put it that
Yeah,
way, and making
right.
legislative decisions for the city.
Yeah.
And then I decided to run for city council.
And what prompted that decision, going from planning to city council? Were there decisions you wanted to still be part of in the making, or did you feel like there was a lack of representation of people like you on the city council? I mean, elaborate a little bit on that.
So I don't have a specific reason other than I found I have a voice and I can make a difference. And so I said, I can do this, even though it's hard. It's hard. And you're supposed to know a lot. And it takes a lot of time to learn the nuts and bolts of everything. And, but yeah, it really just came down to, I have something to share, and I have something to give to the city. And so I just went for it.
I like that. I think we've learned that everybody has something to give. And I think your background with the travels that you've done and living abroad has opened your eyes to things that we can be able to look at it from another way, another point of view, right?
Yeah.
And then being a local girl yourself, though, that perspective, you are the full complete package, I feel like.
Well, thank you. That sounds very nice.